Hi, I'm Rachel Earing, and you're here to find out about my why. I'm the founder of Live4Energy Training College, and why on earth did I create it in the first place? Well, I'm going to backtrack just a little for you because I think it's important that we realize that our whys change over the years. So I'm going to go from very quickly from the beginning to where I am now so that you may resonate with a separate part of my journey in relation to yourself and as to where your why might fit in. So as a child, as a little girl, I was very aware that as the youngest in the family, not everybody wanted to do what I wanted to do. So I was very intent on being happy and playing with as many of my friends as possible because I lived up in the sticks. I was in the country and I didn't really have many children that lived near me or nearby. So playing with other children was a real privilege. And it wasn't until I went to primary school at the age of 5 that I really engaged fully with the joy of that privilege. And my friends became the most important things really in my life from that moment, because they wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. They wanted to play. They wanted to play football. They wanted to play rounders. They wanted to play tag, whatever it was. There, I had playmates that would engage and have fun and be happy and laugh with me. So it was very important as a child that my ultimate why was happiness. And whenever I was asked what I wanted to do when I was older, I gave that typical child comment that some people do not like, because I just wanted to be happy because it felt good. That changed, obviously, as not necessarily the happiness bit, but obviously the perspective changed as I went into my teens and I needed to look for work. And at the age of 19, I was very blessed to move into the world of Granada television. And it became very much my intention whilst I was there to not only be happy whilst I was there, but to revel in every little part of it that was open to me and experience it. So I threw myself into this world of television, but very much behind the scenes. I never wanted to be visible. That was other people's roles. I was always happy to be that supporter emotionally, physically, mentally, behind the scenes with everybody else's creative genius. And it was very important for me that I did that supporting role for their creative genius, because when you're in an environment such as television, there's a lot of creative geniuses out there. And from the writers to the directors to the producers to the people who schedule all the programs that go onto the TV, I was privileged to work with all of them. But as I transitioned through that process, I realized that I was helping everybody else with their why. And I wasn't really quite sure what my why was until I got married. And although I was never having children, something suddenly changed and I wanted children, and my why became my children. And I had 3 boys, 3 beautiful boys, and my life became more about my children rather than work. And I transitioned my why literally into being a mum at home because I was made redundant. We moved back up north into Manchester, and I was able to give and devote my time to my children. And that was one of the most beautiful, happiest times of my life as they were growing up. Now that changed when at the age, but my eldest son was 6. I've got 3 children under 6. My husband then left, and my why had to change to compensate for that particular situation. So my why then became I needed to be financially stable for everything emotionally, mentally, to be able to cope with that situation. I needed the safety that had dropped out of my life. So this might relate to a lot of you, okay? When that safety net drops completely out of your life and you're left feeling like this bottomless pit, what do? Your why changes and it goes back into safety mode of literally the basics of having that roof over your head, money in the bank, and being able to feed you all. So for a good decade or so, that was my ultimate why of existing. That was the most difficult time, I think, of my life, because it took me away from that immediate happiness feeling and I was in survival mode. And when you're in that survival mode, there's a lot of other emotions and mental strain and physical strain that comes to the surface as you're dealing with the very, very basics of life. And then in my early 40s, I transitioned again. My why became different again. I realized I was in a job that was literally sucking the very soul out of me. And it was leaving me so depressed and upset that I wasn't able to physically continue being in that environment. And one day I left and walked out. My why changed again. My why this time became very, very personal. I had to put myself first. So that I could physically be able to do everything else that I needed to do for my children and my family. And that meant removing myself from all those safety aspects I thought I'd put into place. During that time, I transitioned and I did a lot of work on myself and healing on myself, and discovered Reiki and discovered EFT, emotional freedom technique, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I did an awful lot of work on me. And I trained in all of these different modalities. And as I trained in them all, because I wanted to help others not feel like I was feeling, which was pretty shocking. So if I didn't want to feel like that, then perhaps I could help others feel a little bit better as well. But it took me on a journey of self-discovery. That self-discovery left me helping other people and training other people in TARC EFT. Now, TARC EFT is a modality of emotional freedom technique, which is behind the scenes of emotional freedom technique. We go deeper into each tapping point. And I went into my why, then became discovering and learning more and more, going into deeper and deeper about each thing that I was learning about. And the more I did that, the more I discovered about myself, the more I discovered about my clients, the more I discovered about the whole journey of energy and how it worked. And that became a passion that was driving me forward rather than me running away from things. I suddenly found something I could look forward to instead of running away. And that passion and joy of moving forward helped me to create Live4Energy Training College, where I am now very much focused on helping people who are struggling, who have been on any part of those journeys that I've been on, because I can relate to it. And gosh, there is so much more I could go into on each segment of those. But those whys in your life, they change, and they might change with the decades, the age that you're at, the relationships that you're in, the work-life balance that you have, and that's okay. First of all, it's important that you know that that is okay. And my why now is to create an environment, mainly online. It started off, this vision of mine many years ago, of having a physical place, a training college, to give people the opportunity for alternative education, to go into real depth about themselves, because every relationship that you have is based on an emotion. And if we don't know how to really use and delve into that emotion, it can trigger all sorts of events that we might not want. But once we learn how to deal with our own emotions in a way that is unique to your life story, everything else fits into place really beautifully. So my why now is to help individuals and organizations find that real depth within themselves. And as they journey into that depth of themselves, to understand what each signal physically, mentally, and emotionally means to them. And as they go on this journey, it opens you up into such a way with all these different modalities that we have that allows you to decide whether you might actually then want to go and inspire and help others. So there's a progression of working on yourself, continuing to work on yourself, but then helping others, to becoming a practitioner where you can actually work with people around the world. And I now have practitioners who are not only doing that, but they're working with me and they are creating their own zone of genius, their own area of beautiful uniqueness. And we're incorporating that into Live4Energy Training College as part of our courses. So you're not just going to be working with me, you're going to be working with other trainers who are really being sovereign to their own unique zone. And it's still going to be in that beautiful circular system that Live4Energy is all about. It's about that circle of life. But it's about that circle of life connecting and interconnecting with each other, where we support each other and we grow together, and we grow together, and we grow together in the most beautiful of unique ways, but we're still sovereign in our own right. So that is my why. My why is that Live4Energy and energy therapy itself becomes the #1 mental health tool for people to go to around the globe. And that may include lots of different modalities, and that's absolutely fine, because I want to bring together people from all those different modalities to experience that within the body of Live4Energy and support you and transition if you want to become an actual practitioner, therapist, coach yourself, so that you're doing it with utmost consistency and care. Because if there's one thing that I've learnt along the way, is that it is consistency and depth of working on yourself which transitions and then inspires everybody else to come and work with you as you lead the way in everything that you're doing, by showing that prime example of what you are capable of in all of your glory. That's what people want to follow and enjoy. So please do come and have a look around Live4Energy. Get in touch and have a chat with us, find out a little bit more. There are areas for you to get lots of free information, and there are full courses that you can get involved in to become a practitioner. Whatever level you are interested in, we're delighted to have you here. Thanks very much.